All right, so welcome back, everybody, to our fifth annual career fair. We are here. We got two more amazing speakers left here today, it's been an awesome day. I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I've been really enjoying all of our speakers today.
Yeah, I agree. It's been so much fun, and there's still a lot ahead, though, right? Like
Oh yeah.
even though day one is kind of winding down, we still have day two. So super excited about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like if everybody watching, you're super stoked about everything that's gone on today. We've got another entire slate tomorrow for you to check out. You're not going to want to miss any of it. But today, right now, we are joined by my good friend Josh James. So thank you, Josh, so much for being here today, man. Uh,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
yeah, of course, man. I really appreciate you taking the time on your busy schedule to get over here and share a little bit about what you do with our students, our school. We're an all virtual school. Jonathan, we say 4,000 kids.
I thought it was like 4,000. I think between the both schools, and then we have a lot of alumni as well. And
Yes.
I've stopped counting when it comes to alumni. There's a lot of students, and
Yep. So we service a lot, all virtual, and so it's really cool to. We really appreciate your time to come in and share this stuff, record it, and get it shared out with everyone. I want to be conscious of your time, Josh. So without further ado, if you'd like to share with everyone everything that is of what you do, and yeah, get going. And I believe you should be able to.
All right. Thank you very much, Blake. Glad to see you all today. I look forward to sharing a little bit of what I do. My presentation is going to be a little bit different, and I think Blake might have done that on purpose. But you'll see what I mean. I'm going to share my screen here. And start a little presentation I put together for you guys. So I work at Stone Age Concrete Games. We make concrete games that go outside at parks, schools, campgrounds, just anywhere where the weather can be a factor and you don't want to take it down every day. So that is great. Well, I had that little message from you guys. And so a little bit, I am an operations manager at Stone Age Concrete Games. So I'm not building concrete every day, and I'm not even selling concrete every day. I instead am in charge of the people that do that. And that's kind of the biggest part of my job, is making sure that everybody else is on track and we get the orders to our customers. Making sure that sales is making sales so that we can keep making products, and making sure that the production crew is making the orders in the correct order so that we can ship products to people when they're ready for them and in a timely manner. And then I buy all of our office supplies. Anything that the company needs, really, I need to get. And so I go to Staples like probably once a month. That's not a big part of the job, but I wanted to throw a weird picture on there. But then the rock, the aggregate and sand products that we need for our concrete, I need to order that and make sure that we have a good supply of it on hand in order to make the products that we need to make, and order shipping materials as well as book the shipping trucks to pick up all of the stuff and bring it to customers. We ship mostly within America, but we do ship worldwide. So sometimes it's a truck bringing it to a boat that takes it across the ocean and brings it to another truck. And then also, as the operations manager, I have to keep track of all of our financials and reports and make sure that the business is profitable. Just making sure that every product we're selling, we have a good profit margin on, and that we letting my boss is the president of the company. My boss is also my dad, which we'll get into in a little bit here, but make sure that we know when we need to hire some more staff and stuff like that. And if there's a certain product that is costing us a lot of money to make, maybe we need to rethink that product. So, Bravado Outdoor Products is not the name that I said at the beginning of this presentation, but it started in 2010. At that time, I was about to go into my junior year of high school. My dad and I had been to a party with some of his friends, and there'd been a ping pong table there. And everybody had a lot of fun playing ping pong at this party. And me and my dad had been to Germany before to visit my mom's family and noticed that they had ping pong tables in the park, and really enjoyed playing at the park there and thought it was really cool. And it had been a long time since we'd been to Germany, and we'd still talk about it at home, and we're kind of jealous. And so after that party, I talked to my dad and said, and he had been wanting to start a business for a while, and told him that I knew what business we were going to start. And so that week, I had designed the products, and we poured the first ones in my dad's carport 2 weeks later. Out of that carport, we sold ping pong tables to the Department of Defense, as well as some parks in Canada. But I think it's really cool that we were able to sell to such a high profile name just working out of our carport. The business had 3 founders, and their backgrounds were very important to the business. My dad had a lot of construction background. He'd most recently been doing construction management for a company that sold bathrooms to parks and like rest stops and stuff. And one of his coworkers got laid off while we were starting the company, and she was the head of sales there. And so she already had experience selling to parks and other government entities, which is a big part of our customer foundation. One of the customers, I didn't really put this in the slideshow, but I'm going to add it in now, that we didn't expect so much when we started the company, is selling to high-end residential apartment buildings and communities. That's probably 40% of our sales now, is selling to high-end apartment buildings for their play areas. And so that's not something that we foresaw that much when we were starting the company. Today, we've got 10 employees, and like I said, we ship products all over the world. It's a lot of fun. It's cool to see everybody that I work with and be a part of a business that I had a little bit of a hand in starting. And so how did I get to my position as an operations manager? Well, it's bigger than that because we started a business. I'm not technically one of the founders of it because I was in high school. But while I was in high school, I was already taking CAD classes, which is computer assisted drawing. And so that was a hobby of mine. I was in some of the more advanced classes, and so it was pretty easy for me to draw up the designs for our products. And we also have a metal net on our ping pong tables. I cut the first nets out on the school CNC table that we had to cut metal on, which was a lot of fun and things that I wouldn't have even thought of probably if I hadn't been in those classes. Excuse me. Then since I was in high school, I couldn't work full time, but I did decide to go to college also. And since we'd started a family business, that was a decision for me to make. I didn't need to. I could have kept working in production. I originally went to college thinking that I was going to be an engineer because I liked my CAD classes so much and really enjoyed them. But I'm also very much of a people person. In college, I had the pleasure of working with Blake, who I'm sure you all know from the school podcasts. But he can attest to me being quite a people person. When I was taking my engineering classes, I felt like a little bit of an outcast because everybody was just a little bit too serious for me. So I was taking some other classes, and one of them was microeconomics, and I got a really high grade in microeconomics, and the School of Economics at Oregon State actually sent me an email asking if I'd considered doing economics as a major. And so I ended up switching to doing managerial economics with a business minor, which taught me a lot of information to help our family business later on, as it turned out. But that's about me. And I also want to share a little bit of the process that we take in the business to actually get these games made, because I am a part of that and was a bigger part of that before going off to college and learning. So if you guys have any more questions about my personal path to get where I am or my specific job, feel free to ask in chat and we'll get to those at the end. But I want to talk a little bit about the business now. So how do we take those bags on the pallet right there, which is just sand and gravel and cement, and turn it into the foosball table in the background? And then how do we ship it across the world and let people enjoy it? So first, we have to mix the concrete. It's literally just wet mud like anything else. You can see my brother being maniacal in the background of this picture here, if you look close. But this was when we got our first new big mixer. Before that, we'd been using just like a regular concrete mixer that you see at Lowe's that does like 4 to 6 bags of concrete at a time. And we did a lot of loads through those. We literally wore through the edges of them, making more concrete than they were made for, because we had a precast concrete production plant. So this was our first large scale mixer that we got, and we actually have a couple sizes up from this now. But once we have the concrete mixed up, we've got to pour it into forms. And so concrete is just a pile of mud unless you give it shape. And I'm sure you've all seen driveways and you've seen buildings made of concrete, but this is how they get the blocks for those buildings. It's called precast. You make different forms. These metal forms here are reusable forms, and the wooden ones are not reusable. We make them for one-off sales. In this case, it was product testing for a new product. We were doing a leg with a hole in the middle. So this is concrete in a form. This is after it's set up for about an hour or two. We use lots of chemicals in our concrete to help it set faster, since we are a precast production plant, and we end up pulling everything out of the forms the next day. So once we've poured it out of the forms, it's time for finish work. On our ping pong tables, that involves lining the tables, and if there's any sharp edges, making sure we grind that. On our cornhole boards, most of our customers get artwork on their cornhole, and so we get stencils of their logos and paint them on, or sometimes we have an acid etch which chemically reacts to the concrete that we apply, and it changes the color just where we have it stenciled off. And then once we do that, then we get finished products. So this was a pretty cool project that we just did last winter. And they ordered 4 sets of cornhole and foosball, and they had some ping pong tables too. But the the first ones in North America to make concrete foosball tables. And we were also the first ones in North America to do concrete ping pong tables when we originally started the business. But we do all sorts of concrete games, chess tables, backgammon, shuffleboard tables, poker tables. But the most important thing that we do in the shop is we really enjoy each other's companies. So every Friday we do Friday lunch, and it's kind of a potluck. We do pizza day. This is my dad's famous bait bucket pizza. And so he always puts like anchovies and shrimp and creamed fish. It's like a Swedish dish onto a pizza, and it's really rich. It's delicious, but you always have a really small slice. But on pizza day, everybody makes their own pizza, and we cut them up, and everybody tries everybody's pizzas. But it's on the rest of the days, it's potluck. This was from an hors d'oeuvre day, and somebody made a salmon cream that they put over cucumbers. And then I think this actually was from that same hors d'oeuvre day. They just don't have any of the cucumbers on it. But we always do a theme. Sometimes we'll do Greek food and everybody will make a Greek dish. But it's just an important part of keeping the company close together, providing a benefit for our employees. We do an hour lunch where half of it's paid on Fridays because we still only have them clock out for the regular half-hour lunch. And when we were first starting as a really small business, there weren't very many benefits we could offer. So Friday lunch was the big thing that we did to keep morale. Now we're able to offer health insurance for our employees and sick time and vacation time and stuff. And we've always been pretty flexible with vacation time as a small business. And it's just a fun way to get together and something that's been part of the company since the very beginning. I remember on summers when I was in high school, I would work in the shop and we'd just like grill up some sausages. And that was just me and my dad and Billy. Billy's the third partner who I forgot to talk about when I was talking about the three founders. He had worked with my dad in a factory a long time ago, and he is a master welder. So he helps put all our forms together. He's our head shop foreman. I work with Billy a lot, making sure that going over the schedule of what we're going to build over the next week and making sure that we're getting this right product out to the right people. So now I just have a couple of pictures of some fun projects that we've done I wanted to share with you guys. This is University of North Florida, and it is in Jacksonville, Florida. But they actually put down a tennis court material under the ping pong tables before they installed them, and got 4 ping pong tables, and they do a big tournament with their freshman class every year. And this is a park called JFK Promenade in San Francisco, where they actually shut down the old JFK Boulevard and turned it into a park. And they have this ping pong table as well as a set of cornhole boards. And I'm actually building another ping pong table for them right now for this same park. So that's exciting. And it's a really cool park in San Francisco. I didn't include any pictures, but we also have a park right across from the Capitol building in San Francisco that has a couple ping pong tables and a couple foosball tables at it. This is a park in El Paso, right in the middle of downtown. It's called San Jacinto Plaza. And this plaza originally used to be a pond with some alligators, like real live alligators. And there were issues with people vandalizing the park and harming the alligators, unfortunately. So they had to revamp the park, and they put in a statue of some alligators. And then we did custom nets with alligators in them. And you can't see in this picture because the focus is on this table. But in the bottom of the legs, we actually took the cutouts from where the alligator was in the net and put those in the legs. So it's a very custom job that is really cool. They got 3 ping pong tables and 4 chess tables, and I've got to go here while we were at a convention once, and it was a lot of fun. They actually have tournaments that downtown. They've got string lights above the tables, and every Friday night they have an informal tournament at the tables, which was pretty cool to hear about when I visited. And then this is Moody Gardens in Galveston, Texas. And we went to another trade show here at Moody Gardens, and we'd been given a bigger space in the trade show because we'd been to this one a few times before. And so we brought a lot of product with us, including our new product, which is this round 4-way ping pong table. A lot of people play it like Foursquare, but people make up all kinds of different rules when they're playing the round 4-way ping pong, and it's definitely where you see people smile the most, especially people that don't normally play ping pong, because everybody makes up rules and gets to hit to whoever they want to, and it's a lot of fun. But we brought this to the trade show, and then some of the people that run Moody Gardens, as the event came past our booth and asked for a business card because they were interested in some of our games. And they said they'd be in contact. But after they left, I was talking to my dad, and we're like, well, it cost us a lot of money to ship all this down here, and if they want a deal, we could set up everything that we brought for them and just sell them that at a discount, minus what it cost us to ship it here, and save them on shipping too. So I ran out of the conference hall and found the 2 guys that had stopped by our booth who were in charge of procurement for the resort, and talked to them, and they said, gave them my email, and they said they'd email me by 2:00 that day. And then the next day we took these games out of the conference hall and used their forklift to set them up for them out by the pool. So that was a pretty cool experience, and a lot of fun. That's all I have prepared for you so far. If there are any questions, feel free.
Yeah, we actually do have a question here in the chat for you, Josh. One of our one of our students wants to know: was it hard helping with your dad's business during high school, and how much did you help?
So while I was in high school, I didn't do a lot of the physical labor. I did the design parts in CAD and sent him plans so that he could build the product. But I was also a 3-sport athlete in high school. I was very busy, so I didn't help that much with the business side at all when I was in high school, further than doing the plans, except for that during the summers I would help and work almost full time, unless there was like once football started I wasn't. But I helped a lot physically in the summers and spring breaks, and my spring break my senior year, I went on a trip with my dad up to Canada to install 2 ping pong tables at a middle school, and then we got to stop and go to some islands in Washington on the way home and stuff. But so I did help in high school, and especially the idea of the business was mine. Like, if I hadn't said that, we still probably wouldn't have this business today. But beyond the design, I wasn't putting a lot of hours into it, I guess.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you, Josh, for explaining that. And I love too that you mentioned too, it's like, especially because all of our kids, are, well, not all of them in the school, but a lot of them looking at our career fairs and stuff are in high school. And so it's just cool to see that there are things that we can do during high school. It's cool that you were able to do this actually in like one of your classes, like actually using your class time in school to be able to kind of help push forward this business idea, which is really, really cool. Jonathan, do you have any questions I got a couple, but do you have any you want to ask right off the bat?
Yeah. Okay, so what advice, this is one that I like to ask because I think this could be really useful to our students. What advice would you give to either your high school self or maybe a high school student? If there's one bit of advice that you would give, what would that be? You know, they're in this, a lot of them are in this discovery slash self-discovery mode right now. Um, some of them want to go to college, some of them want to go to trade school, some of them want to kind of take an out of the box approach and start a business. What advice would you give them?
I am a huge proponent of trade schools. I I would definitely um, tell myself to consider trade school deeper. I also would tell myself that you don't know what you don't know, and to not be set on a certain direction, and because you might learn new information that teaches you that you're more interested in the career path, life path. Um, there's a lot of things that you don't know. Especially, I grew up in a small town, so just going to college, there's a lot that I learned beyond the schooling as well. Being in a bigger town.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then what is another just kind of follow-up question is just what is um, okay, so your typical day, or maybe what is your typical day, or maybe someone in the business who I think you said you have 10 employees, is that correct? Did I miss that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
10 employees.
Employees.
What I mean, I know it'd be hard for you to go through all 10 and what a typical day looks like, but maybe pick like one or two entry level positions, like maybe what are their titles, what does a typical day look like, what experience do you guys look for?
Yeah. So let's do production and sales, and I'll go over my typical day too after that. But for our production workers, a lot of times it is people right out of high school or maybe who've had one job, um, and that's we have machines that do all the heavy lifting and hard work, but there's a lot of repetitiveness, um, but also new, and we try to have fun since we make games. Our job is to make fun, so we try to have fun. But a typical day for somebody doing production in the shop is coming in at 7 a.m. and making sure you have all your safety equipment, earplugs, safety glasses, all that. And we mix concrete every morning. We make concrete and fill the forms that we're pouring that day. That is where the biggest change is because we make a lot of different products. So what we're making that day changes. Might just be a couple legs, might be a whole shuffleboard table, and then we're pouring till noon if it's a whole shuffleboard table. But then once we've poured the concrete for the day, we're finishing taking apart the forms from the concrete that we've poured the day before. And then when you're first starting out, we'd have you take those forms and we clean them. And so we get them ready to use again the next day, clean them with a grinder. And then we break for lunch. And then after that, we normally are working on putting those forms back together that we just cleaned, or some other ones that are sitting on the shelf for what we need to pour the next day, as well as doing finish work on the products that we pulled out that day, grinding some concrete and putting everything on pallets to ship out the door. The one thing that I had meant to put in my presentation was some pictures of our pallets, because you're used to seeing just like a wood pallet that has dog food on it at the store or whatever, but we actually build a crate around our pallet. And the time that is most common for our products to get damaged is during shipping. So we put a lot of time and effort into our pallets and use some really dense foam to protect the materials. But after that, once we've got all the forms ready for the next day, it's about time to call it a day and get ready for the next one. But that's a very typical, kind of repetitive, but we're always changing the actual projects and stuff a little bit day for doing production on the floor. And then for sales, we have a website, concretetabletennis.com, and people fill out a form, and that goes into our system for sales, and they get all those in the morning from the previous night and contact everybody. It'll have a note about what they're interested in. And so that when sales first gets in the office, they go through all the new contacts and make sure that they get them either a quote or some pricing information, depending upon what they're asking for. And then go through their emails to follow up with customers that we're already in conversations with. Check on quotes that are outstanding to follow up with customers and see if the project's going to move forward or if they need to cancel the quote, if they decided to go with a different product or not at this time. And making phone calls. And that's really the majority of it for sales, is taking phone calls and answering emails and making quotes for people. There's not a lot of outreach necessarily beyond reaching out to the people who did fill out a form. And my day changes all the time, but it always starts with sitting at my computer and I check my emails to see what's urgent. A big part of what I do that I didn't talk about is all the post-sale customer interaction. And so any warranty issues, I handle all of those. When product is ready to ship or anything needs customized on the products, I handle that. And so I'm talking to customers all throughout the day, along with making sure that we have everything that we need to make our product for the upcoming week, and making all of our products in the right order so that we're not sitting on stuff. If something gets made out of order for a job that was supposed to be 6 months out, then we're sitting on it it's sitting on our shelves for the next 6 months, and we don't have a lot of extra storage space. Our products are pretty big, so that makes a big difference, trying to make sure that we don't make things too soon. And so once I've done checking my email and seeing what fires there are for that day, then I still get to do some CAD work. And I designed the nets for our ping pong tables. So I get to play in CAD a little bit and send that off to our customers who order a ping pong table. And then if that's done for the day, I order any artwork that needs ordered for the cornhole boards. Those stencils that you saw in the picture, we have a local sign company that makes those for us. And then that should bring me about to lunch. And then after lunch, I am checking in with sales and seeing if there's any new orders and special notes on the new orders. And then checking in with production and Billy, our head foreman, and going over what we plan on building the next day and the day after that, just to keep a pulse on everything and make sure it all goes smoothly.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It sounds like it's really cool to see like the kind of, or you get to hear about like the inner workings of it. And I love like when you're showing too in your presentation, just kind of the work culture you guys have built there. And it's really cool because you don't see that usually with like too much, at least with like bigger business and stuff. Like it not only is like family business is already pretty cool and tight knit, but it sounds like you guys really take good care of everyone. kind of a question, follow-up question for, because some of our students, it sounds like I'm kind of getting some ideas, obviously with like physical labor, and then, but also some like creative side. I know, like with your cat stuff, that takes some creative ability as well. But when you're hiring, when you're looking for somebody to work, maybe in one of those entry level positions, I love that you said you even get some kids like who maybe are right out of high school and only had one job experience. But when you're looking for those entry level positions, those new people to come in and work, what are some like skills or what are some things that you maybe look for to in a potential candidate to fill those roles?
So there's a variety of things. If somebody did have CAD experience or G code experience, that is a big benefit, because currently only my brother and I are the ones that can run our CNC table or design stuff. And the more people that can do one task is the better. That way, if two people are on vacation, we can still do that task. And so we love cross-training people with new skills, but being able to do some CAD or G code already is a big plus. Yard work, like if you're just out of high school, if you have experience working on people's yards, doing landscaping projects, just some kind of physical labor experience, that's a big bonus, because going from classes to working a 40-hour work week is a lot for some people, especially if they don't have a little bit of an idea of what to expect working all day. So just having some kind of experience just doing work, it is a big plus, and a good attitude about it, because it's hard to, luckily for us, I haven't had any youth quit on the spot, but I have had a couple of adults not show up for their second day of work and stuff. And so having an idea of what you're getting into is a big bonus. But it's nothing, we don't do anything that we can't teach. It's attitude, and having just a touch of experience is a big thing that we look for. I don't really care about grades. I shouldn't say that. And then something else that I would tell young me in high school is to turn in any assignment, even if I didn't finish it. That's something I kind of figured out my senior year that I didn't earlier, because I didn't like homework. I was always really good at tests, and I didn't think that homework should affect my grade as much as it did. And so I didn't do it. But then my senior year, I figured out that, like, if I got half credit on the homework and aced the test, then my grade was a lot better. So take that for what you will.
I love it. Thank you, Josh. And I know, I'm sure Jonathan does this too, when we teach our kids about, getting ready for that employment stuff with resumes, interview skills, things like that, getting them ready for that transition into the adult life and the jobs search. I tell kids a lot. His attitude is a lot. We've been seeing that kind of as a theme today, a lot of just like, as long as you have a good attitude, you could learn a lot in the job. And then one of the things you said particularly made me really happy. And for those watching, any of my students watching, I did, even though he's my friend, I did not tell him to say this, I didn't pay him to say this, but yard work, like saying that I've been using household chores, yard work, things like that manual labor, just proof. Again, I didn't tell him to say that, but just proof that it's like, even if you haven't had a job, you can build those skills and that experience before actually getting your first job. So I appreciate you mentioning that as well. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Josh. Jonathan, did you want to add anything real quick? Because I know we're getting close to the end of the time.
Yeah. We have room for one more question, because we do have another presentation coming up. But Kaylee in the chat, a student shared a question that she had. Do you prefer the part that is the emails and the phone calls, or the part that is more physical, Josh? Which part do you prefer?
I prefer when I get to go out and run errands and stuff. But I don't mind the physical labor. That's a lot easier to me. The emails and phone calls, especially with my position being in charge of as much as I am, um, end up being the higher stress part of my job. So I don't do very much production anymore, but over the last couple months, there's been some vacations that aligned together and stuff, and I got to spend some time in the shop, and I really enjoy it. I know a lot of our employees view it as, a free workout, and they don't have to go to the gym afterwards. Or I definitely do, or at least should. But the emails are definitely less labor intensive, but more stressful.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Blake, who do we have? Well, thank you again to Josh. Blake, who do we have coming up at closing out day one of our career fair? I can't believe it already.
Time flies when you're having fun, right? And it's been a really fun day. And we've got Tyson Phipps. He does YouTube, and he's also done some rideshare stuff like Uber and Lyft. So if you want to know a little bit about what it takes to be a YouTuber and do some of that stuff, as well as riding using Uber and Lyft services as well, stay tuned. He's at 3:00. I want to say a special thank you to both our attendees here for your amazing questions, and then of course Josh, thank you so much, man, for stopping by and sharing with us your stuff. And really fun presentation. It was really cool just to see all the cool stuff that you do, man, and appreciate answering all of our questions and your time. And yeah,
all right, thank you guys for having me. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your career fair.
Thank you so much.
Take care.